Christmas University Challenge. Asking the questions, Amal Rajan.
Hello and welcome back to Christmas University Challenge 2025. Tonight sees the return of two more teams who made an impression in previous seasonal series. They're playing for a place in the semi-finals, and at this point in proceedings will need to win this match with a score of at least 200 points to stay in with a chance of qualifying. Our first team tonight are all alumni of Exeter College in Oxford. In the 12th series of this competition, their knowledge of geography, sport and political history saw them sail through to the semi-finals, where they then faced Balliol College, Oxford. They led their fellow Oxonians for most of that match, but were eventually overtaken on the second picture round. And from there, Balliol went on to win the match and the series. All four of the original team have come back to play again tonight, and they are a professor of history at Goldsmiths with particular expertise in the history of East Central Europe, an award-winning correspondent who's worked for many years as an investigative reporter for BBC News and the Today programme, their captain, one of the BBC's chief news presenters who this year published her debut novel, and a businessman whose many roles in the sports and media industries have included CEO of the British Olympic Association and chair of Lancashire County Cricket Club. He's currently CEO of Sportscape Group. Let's meet them again.
Hi, my name is Alexander Watson and I studied modern history and graduated at Exeter College, Oxford in 2000.
Hello, my name is Sancha Berg and I studied English Language and Literature at Exeter College, Oxford, graduating in 1985.
And their captain.
Hello, I'm Rita Chakrabarti. I did English and French and I graduated in 1988.
Hi, I'm Andy Anson. I read mathematics and graduated in 1986.
They're facing a team from Trinity Hall, Cambridge, who first appeared on this series in 2014. After two real scraps against Balliol College, Oxford and Edinburgh, they took the title that year with an emphatic final victory over Hull, and across all three of those matches demonstrated remarkably wide-ranging knowledge, answering well on topics as disparate as Roman emperors, antifreeze proteins and types of fondue. The players returning for this match are, firstly, an actor and voiceover artist whose many credits include Class Dismissed, Inside Number 9 and, of course, Doctor Who. A multi-sport athlete who has been a world champion in both time trial cycling and duathlon and has recently written a recipe book called Ode to Joy. And their captain, a prolific author and critic whose novel Box Hill was the basis of the recent film Pillion. Their original fourth player, Tom James, wasn't able to attend this reunion, but joining them in his place is a journalist known for her investigative reporting for Panorama, Dispatches, Tonight and Countryfile. Let's hear them introduce themselves.
I'm Dan Starkey. I graduated in Anglo-Saxon, Norse and Celtic, or ASNAC, at the end of the 1990s.
I'm Emma Pooley. I graduated in engineering in 2005.
And their captain.
I'm Adam Miles-Jones. I graduated in English in 1976.
Hello, I'm Dashiani Navanagam. I read history and I graduated in 2009.
Well, it's very nice to see you all. Welcome back and welcome for the first time, Dashiani. I should say, Trinity, I'm a bit perturbed by the sight, once again, of your mascot. The same as the mascot you brought last time. Could you just explain why you've turned up with an axe?
Here's the story. Do you want the motto in English or Latin?
Latin, please.
OK. Mens sit ensis qui numquam habitator.
Obviously. Meaning?
Let the mind be a blade that never grows dull.
OK, so that's from the Trinity Hall mascot?
No, it's my mascot. And it's my motto.
Excellent. Fingers on buzzers. Let's have your first starter for 10. Good luck. What adjective appears in the titles of all the following television series? A 2025 comedy drama created by Janice Ocko about three siblings trying to avoid being taken into care after their mother disappears. A semi-autobiographical comedy created by and starring Sophie Willan, whose second series aired in 2024. And a 2020 mini-series starring Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar-Jones.
Trinity Hall Starkey.
Normal.
Yep, that's right, as in just act normal, Alma's not normal, and normal people. Well done. Your bonuses, Trinity Hall, are on eponymous circuits used in Formula One's 2025 season. Built in 1938 and renamed in 1985, the Autódromo José Carlos Pache is also known by what name? Referring to the neighbourhood of Sao Paulo in which it is situated.
I know it.
I've got no idea.
Don't know, can't guess.
Interlagos. The Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari is more commonly known by what name? In recent years, it has hosted the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and it also hosted the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix that saw the deaths of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger.
I've actually raced around it and I can't remember the name.
She's raced round it and she doesn't know, so none of us know.
On a bike, not on a car. But...
It's Imola. Finally, the Canadian Grand Prix takes place at what circuit in Montreal? It is named after a Canadian driver who died during the final qualifying session of the 1982 Belgian Grand Prix.
3 strikes, we're out.
That's the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Let's start the question. In which English city is the Thackeray Museum of Medicine? Also home to Opera North, this city was once the location of a contemporary art gallery housed in the former headquarters of Tetley's Brewery, while its namesake art gallery is adjacent to the Henry Moore Institute.
Trinity Hall, Starkey.
Leeds?
It is Leeds. Well done. Your bonuses, Trinity Hall, are on novels that feature mathematical concepts. Often described as a satire of Victorian society, which 1884 novel by Edwin A. Abbott begins in a two-dimensional universe seen through the eyes of its protagonist, A Square. Its subtitle is A Romance of Many Dimensions.
Flatland?
Perhaps.
Flatland?
Yes. Logi Comics is a graphic novel by 2 Greek academics that concerns the epic search for truth of which leading British thinker, and features his meetings with mathematicians such as Frege, Hilbert and Gödel.
Wittgenstein? Wittgenstein, he's our go-to philosopher.
Well, he's the wrong one. It was Bertrand Russell. Who wrote the 2003 novel The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, in which the chapter numbers are primes rather than being numbered 1, 2, 3, etc.?
Mark Haddon.
It is Mark Haddon. Well done. Now let's start the question. Likely deriving from its use in lamp and candle wicks in antiquity, the name of which group of minerals comes from the Greek for inextinguishable? Valued for its heat and electrical insulation properties, it was widely used in 20th century...
Trinity Hall, Miles Jones.
Asbestos.
It is asbestos. Well done. 3 questions on Rolls-Royce engines, all of which share their names with birds. Developed and produced in the interwar period, which V12 engine was the first by Rolls-Royce to feature a 6-cylinder cast aluminium monoblock? It shares its name with several species of bird in the genus Falco, known for their habit of hovering while hunting.
Ooh,
Harrier?
No, it's the Kestrel. Resembling 2 Kestrel engines mounted together in an X24 configuration, which Rolls-Royce engine suffered numerous problems in development? It shares its name with several species of large carrion-eating birds.
Vulture? That's all I can think of.
Buzzard?
What do you think?
Vulture? Yeah.
You choose. I'm the captain. Buzzard.
Vulture.
Sorry.
That I'm the captain really worked, I think. Finally, one of the most produced aero engines of the Second World War, which V12 engine shares its name with a small species of falcon, a name identical but unrelated to that of a figure from Arthurian legend?
Peregrine? Peregrine?
Yes.
Peregrine?
Yes.
Peregrine.
Bad luck, it's Merlin.
You're off.
Now to start the question, it's a picture round now, and for your picture starter, you will see an excerpt from a French Christmas carol. For 10 points, tell me the name of the English version of this carol.
Exeter Watson.
12 Days of Christmas.
It is indeed. Well done. That was an extract from Les 12 Mois, a carol from the French Flanders documented in the mid-19th century, bearing a strong resemblance to the 12 Days of Christmas. For your picture bonuses, you will see 3 more extracts from the carol, all describing gifts. This time, what I want is an English translation of the phrase you see. First.
4 ducks flying in the air. 4 ducks flying in the air.
Yes. Next.
5 rabbits.
5 rabbits running on the ground.
Yes.
7 windmills.
Good job you did French, wasn't it, Rita? Yes. Correct. Would have been embarrassing if you got them wrong. Well done. Clean sweep. Now start the question. 2025 marked the 200th anniversary of the death of which Italian-born composer who spent most of his career at the Habsburg court in Vienna. His earlier suicide attempt was fictionalised in a play by Peter Schaffer as being motivated by a...
Trinity Hall, Miles Jones.
Salieri.
Well done, it is indeed, yes. Your bonuses then, Trinity Hall. 3 questions on the artist Gillian Wearing. Wearing won the Turner Prize in 1997 for 60 Minutes Silence, a video work that shows 26 people trying to remain posed as if for a formal group photograph for 60 minutes, dressed in the uniforms of what profession?
Any guesses? Doctors?
Yeah.
Doctors.
As police officers. The first photograph in Waring's Spiritual Family series is a self-portrait titled Me As which American photographer, born 1923. Waring later created a life-size bronze sculpture of her, installed in Central Park from 2021 to 2022.
Female photographers, 1923. Dorothea Lange.
No, it's Diane Arbus. Waring's public art in the UK includes a sculpture depicting a, quote, real family of which major English city, her place of birth. It is installed outside the city's main public library, itself noted for its filigree-like facade of overlapping metal rings.
Pass.
It's Birmingham. Now let's start the question. A triple conjunction of the planets Jupiter and Saturn in the constellation Pisces, a nova in the constellation Aquila, and a comet identified by Chinese astronomers in 5 BCE are all among the suggested scientific explanations of what notable astrological object and wayfinder from Christian tradition?
Trinity Hall, Starkey.
The Star of Bethlehem.
Well done. It is indeed, yes. Your bonuses, Trinity Hall, are 3 questions on Christmas parties in film. Based on the 1926 novella Dream Story by Arthur Schnitzler, which film by Stanley Kubrick starts with Dr. Bill Harford, played by Tom Cruise, reuniting with an old medical school classmate at a
Eyes
Christmas
Wide
party?
Shut.
It is indeed. Great film. Inspired by the urban legend The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs, which 1974 Canadian horror film takes place during a Christmas party at a sorority house. The Museum of Modern Art has said that its influence can be seen in nearly all slasher films that came after.
Might it be Black Christmas?
Might be.
Black Christmas?
Well done. Which film takes place over the course of a corporate Christmas party at Nakatomi Plaza? The main character's undershirt...
Die Hard. Die Hard.
Well done. It is indeed. Good job. Let's start the question. Love came down at Christmas, love all lovely, love divine. These are the opening lines of an 1885 poem by which English writer? The composers Joanna Forbes Lestrange, Benjamin Britten, Harold Darke and Gustav Holst are among those who have written musical settings for another of her Christmas poems.
Trinity Hall, Miles Jones.
Christina Rossetti.
Well done, it is indeed, yes. Your bonuses, Trinity Hall, are on authors who have won Pulitzer Prizes in multiple categories. In each case, I simply want you to name the author from their winning works. First, the author who won the 1980 prize in fiction for The Executioner's Song and the 1969...
Norman Mailer.
Yes. Secondly, the author who won both the 1958 and 1979 poetry prizes for his collections Promises and Now and Then, respectively, and the 1947 novel prize for All the King's Men.
Robert Penn Warren.
Well done. Finally, the author who won the 1928 novel prize for The Bridge of San Luis Rey and the 1930...
Wilder.
It is indeed, yes. Let's start the question. Music round now, and for your music starter, you're going to hear a piece of country music. For 10 points, I need you to give me the name of the artist you hear singing.
The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again.
Trinity Hall, Miles Jones.
Merle Haggard.
No, you can hear a bit more extra, but you may not confer.
On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see.
Come on, someone have a guess. Come on. Have a go.
Exeter Anson.
Willie Nelson.
It is Willie Nelson. Well done. For your music starter, Exeter, you heard On the Road Again by Willie Nelson, who helped organise the first Farm Aid benefit concert in 1985. For your bonuses, 3 more songs performed at the original Farm Aid. 5 points for each artist you can name. First, this singer.
I love you even more than I did before. But darling, what
Nominate Berg.
Roy Orbison.
Of course, with Crying. Secondly.
ever since the day we met. I said I've been down and honey.
Ray Charles.
That was the great B.B. King with How Blue Can You Get? And finally, this group.
The Beach Boys.
Beach Boys with Barbara Ann. Let's start the question. The answer I want here is the name of a biblical figure. In mathematics, the surface of revolution formed by rotating the curve y equals 1 over x for values of x greater than 1 about the x-axis, which has the seemingly contradictory properties of finite volume and infinite surface area, is often known as the horn of which archangel?
Exeter Anson.
Gabriel.
It is indeed Gabriel. Well done. Your bonuses then, Exeter, are on present-day European capital cities. In each case, name the city from the description. Following the First World War, all three became capital of a newly established or restored state. First, a city founded in 1201 as a base of a crusading order, and from 1581 to 1918 ruled successively by Poland, Sweden and the Russian Empire. Situated at the mouth of the river Daugava, it is on the Via Baltica highway between Kaunas and Tallinn.
Where?
Riga, I would say. Riga.
Nominate Watson.
Riga?
Yes. Secondly, devastated by Swedish forces in the 1650s and by Russia in 1795, a city whose motto translates as "It defies the storms." Its UNESCO-listed Old Town was painstakingly rebuilt following systematic destruction by the Third Reich in 1944.
Warsaw.
Yes. And finally, situated at the confluence of the Sava and the Danube, a city mainly under Ottoman rule from 1521 to 1867, captured by Austria in World War I, it became the capital of a newly established multi-ethnic state in 1918.
Istanbul. No, it's going to be Yugoslavia, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. But that'd be Belgrade.
Belgrade.
It is Belgrade, yes. Now, let's start a question. A single-word answer is enough here. Since 2018, British winners of what multi-day cycle race have included Chris Froome?
Exeter Anson.
Latour.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. You can hear a bit more, Trinity, but you may not confer. Chris Froome, Theo Geoghegan-Hart, and in 2025, Simon Yates. It is usually staged in May and is the earliest of the 3 cycling Grand Tours.
Trinity Hall Pooley.
Giro d'Italia.
Yes, well done, Trinity Hall. Your bonuses are on mathematical terms that also have a botanical meaning. Give each word from the definition. All are 4 letters long. First, for a function f of x, a value of x that satisfies the equation f of x equals 0.
Okay. You're the mathematician. No
A
pressure.
botanical term.
4 letters. Has to be a botanical term.
Rose? I mean, sort of...
Say rose.
No, it's root. Secondly,
Okay.
secondly, a number used as the starting value in a pseudo-random number generator algorithm.
Seed. I say seed.
Seed.
Yes. Finally, in graph theory, a connected graph with no closed loops. Such graphs may be rooted, i.e. with one node designated as the root, and if that root has vertex degree 1, they may be described as planted.
I don't know, but let's say bean.
Bean.
It's got 4 letters.
Sorry. No, it has got 4 letters, yeah. No, it's tree.
Sorry.
Let's start the question. Including examples of rare historical documents, a 2025 exhibition at Durham Cathedral marked the 800th anniversary of the definitive reissue of what symbolic proclamation? One of whose articles expresses...
Exeter
Magna
Watson.
Carta?
It is the Magna Carta, yes, well done. Your bonus is then Exeter. 3 questions on Edward White Benson, Archbishop of Canterbury from 1883 to 1896. Before his appointment as Archbishop, Benson served as the first bishop of which city? During his tenure, he initiated the construction of this city's cathedral, today the southernmost in England.
Maybe Plymouth?
Southampton.
Yeah.
Southampton or Plymouth.
Yeah, Southampton, Plymouth. Go for it.
Nominate Watson.
Plymouth.
Bad luck, it's Truro. According to its title, how many lessons and carols are found in a service first devised by Benson for an 1880 Christmas Eve worship in Truro? It is today broadcast annually from King's College Chapel in Cambridge.
Oh, God, I don't remember.
Is it a number?
12.
No, it's 9. Which novella of 1898 was inspired by a ghost story Benson told its author concerning, quote, young children left to the care of servants in an old country house. The servants die and their apparitions return to haunt the house and children.
Doesn't ring a bell for me.
No, I don't know. Let's just guess. In the 1880s.
It's not the Hound of the Baskervilles, but you can try.
The Hound of the Baskervilles.
No, it's a turn of the screw. Picture round now. For your picture starter, you're going to see a flower. For 10 points, give me its name.
Exeter Burke.
Pansy.
Yes. Your bonus is extra. For your picture starter, you saw an image of a pansy known for its ability to survive frosts. For your bonuses, 3 more common garden plants known to withstand winter weather. 5 points for each you can identify. The common name is enough in each case. First, this flower with many cold-resistant varieties.
It's a begonia or a cyclamen. What do you think? I think it's a begonia. Do you should go with begonia?
Begonia.
No, it's camellia. Secondly, this shrub.
Oh, God, what's that? I don't know.
I don't know either.
No, we don't know.
Witch hazel. Lastly, this herb.
Rosemary.
That is rosemary. Well done. Now let's start the question. In 2017, which country's president announced that a new Latin-based alphabet would be introduced for its state language, moving away from the Cyrillic alphabet introduced when the country was part of the Soviet Union? The new Latin-based system will see this country's name spelt with an initial Q.
Exeter Anson.
Kazakhstan.
Well done. Your bonuses then, extra, are on mushrooms with common names that refer to animals. Including the name of a carnivore, what 2-word common name can refer to both the jellyfish species, Cyanea capillata, and the mushroom Hericium erinaceus? Other common names of the latter include bearded tooth and monkey's head.
Poison cat or...
Poison cat.
No, it's lion's mane. Sometimes known by its Japanese name, maitake, the polypore Grifola frondosa is also often called the what of the woods, indicating its resemblance to a cluster of tail feathers.
Peacock.
Peacock.
No, it's hen. The mushroom known as hiratake in Japanese is commonly known in English by the name of what mollusk, after its ear-like shape and slippery texture?
Oyster.
Yes, it is. Well done. Now let's start the question. What compound, first isolated by Michael Faraday in 1825, consists of a ring of 6 carbon atoms with a separate hydrogen atom attached to each?
Exeter Anson.
Benzene.
It is indeed. Your bonuses, Exeter, are on words that appear in the titles of books in the Bourne series of spy novels, begun by Robert Ludlum and continued by Eric van Lustbader and Brian Freeman. Give each single word from the definition. First, the word that precedes correlative in a term coined by T.S. Eliot in Hamlet and His Problems, which he defined as, quote, a set of objects, a situation, a chain of events, which shall be the formula of a particular emotion.
Consequences. Result. Consequences.
I don't know.
Sequence.
No, it's objective, as in the Bourne objective. Secondly, a term used from the mid-19th to the mid-20th century to refer to countries including Canada, Australia and New Zealand that were considered part of the British Empire but had a relatively high degree of autonomy.
Dominion.
Yes, as in the Bourne Dominion. Finally, in mathematics, a word that can mean both a type of square matrix with ones on the main diagonal and zeros everywhere else, and an equation that is true for all values of the variables in it, sometimes indicated by a triple bar symbol.
Equivalence.
No, it's identity. 4.5 minutes to go. First awarded 75 years ago to Winston Churchill, the Sonning Prize for contributors to European culture is the largest cultural award given in what country? Winners of the prize born in this country include architect Jorn Utzon, filmmaker Lars von Trier and physicist...
Trinity Hall-Mars-Jones.
Denmark.
It is Denmark, yes. Your bonuses are on mythological figures that share their names with summons in the Final Fantasy series of video games. That is, magical creatures that can help the player in battle. Name each from the description. First, a major Hindu deity whose epithets include Bluethroat and Lord of the Dance, and in the Trimurti is designated the Destroyer. A number of ice elemental summons in the series bear his name.
We're going Shiva.
Yes. Secondly, an enormous sea monster from Hebrew mythology, mentioned in both Psalms and Job. Several water elemental summons in the games have its name.
Leviathan.
Yes, finally, in Greek myth, the general name applied to the 12 children of Uranus and Gaia, that is, the generation of gods that preceded the Olympians. In the singular, this word is used for several earth elemental summons in the series.
Titans.
Well done. Now let's start the question. Appearing in the name of a traditional Christmas dessert, what short word is used in a non-seasonal sense to mean a progressive record of recently observed facts or...
Trinity Hall-Pooley.
Log.
Well done. Your bonuses, Trinity Hall, are on terms in human biology. Give each from the definition. All begin with the same 4-letter prefix. First, the second main stage of mitosis, following prophase and preceding anaphase.
He said mitosis. It is in mitosis.
Yep.
Come on, give yourselves a chance for a high score.
Catapult.
No, it's metaphase. Secondly, the spread of cancer cells from the primary tumour site to a different area of the body.
Metastasis.
Yes. Finally, an overarching term for the various chemical processes by which the human body breaks down and builds up complex molecules.
Metabolism.
Correct. Another side of the question. One of the largest states of 19th century Africa, the Sokoto Caliphate, was an Islamic empire that shares its name with a city in what present-day country?
Trinity Hall Pooley.
Babylon.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. A powerful trading polity, it unified Hausa states under a Fulani aristocracy until its overthrow by the British in 1903. You may not confer.
Exeter Watson.
Benin?
No, it's Nigeria. Another starter question. What is the common name of the tree Ilex aquifolium, mentioned in Shakespeare's song Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind in As You Like It? Missel thrushes are known to guard this tree in winter due to its abundance of berries.
Trinity Hall Never Nigh Again.
You.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. Made toxic to several mammals by the presence of certain saponins. You may not confer.
Exeter Anson.
Hawthorne.
No, it's common holly. Another starter question. What surname links all of the following? The British Army officer who served as the governor and so-called defender of Canada during the War of 1812, the French priest and author of the novel Manon Lescaut, adapted into operas by Massenet and Puccini, and the Chicago-born clergyman who, in May 2025, assumed the papacy as Leo XIV.
Exeter Berg.
Prevost.
Yes, your bonuses then, Exeter, 3 questions on beer in fine art. Beer Street and Gin Lane are a pair of 1751 engravings depicting the contrasting effects of consuming the two beverages. By which British artist?
You know this.
Hogarth?
No, I don't, it could be Hogarth. Try Hogarth.
Hogarth.
Yes. Still Life with a Beer Mug is a 1921 work in the Tate collection by which French artist, known for a distinctive personal style of cubism that became nicknamed Tubism for its emphasis on cylindrical forms over angular ones?
It's going to be Braque or... no, it's not Braque, is it? It's Léger.
Léger.
Yes, 2 bottles of British Bass beer are among the various drinks on the counter in the 1881 painting A Bar at the Folies Bergère by which French artist?
Monet.
No, it's Manet. Bad luck. Let's start the question. The Royal Academy of Arts, the Linnaean Society of London, the Society of Antiquaries and the Royal Society of Chemistry are all found in which
Trinity Hall Miles Jones.
Piccadilly. So.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. Neo-Palladian mansion in Mayfair. You may not confer. Come on, have a guess, someone.
Exeter Chakrabarti.
Burlington House.
It is Burlington House, yes. Your bonus is extra. 3 questions on caves in the UK. Forming part of an extensive cave system, the National Show Cave at Dan Rogov is situated in the Swansea Valley in which national park? And at the gong, Trinity will have 145 and next have 150. Well, the answer to that last one was the Brecon Beacons. Trinity Hall. How can I put this? I think that's going to be quite painful to watch on television.
Why do you think so?
If it's any consolation, we probably aren't going to see them again either.
Listen, I got my motto on TV.
You got your motto on TV, you've got the acts on TV, and we had a fantastic, very, very, very high standard of play today. Exeter, what a brilliant comeback. That was absolutely fantastic.
We're astonished.
Absolutely, well, I was a bit astonished, to be honest. Sadly, your score, because you're up against such a good team, isn't going to be big enough for us to see you again. I'm so sorry, so it means we're going to say goodbye to you. But I hope we'll see you again for the next match in this Christmas series. Until then, it is goodbye from Trinity Hall, Cambridge.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Exeter College in Oxford.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.